All right, greetings one and all, and welcome to this lesson. So we're going to be looking at BJC, a BJC Math paper. This is paper one, 2008. And so we're going to be going over the questions and the answers for this paper. So definitely glad to have you on this journey. Let's begin. All right, so as you can see, this is the cover of it. So Ministry of Education, Bahamas Student Certificate Examination. This is a 2008 paper. This is paper one. This is 50 marks. You have a paper one and you have a paper two. All right. For this examination, you are not permitted to use a calculator. All right. So you're not permitted to use a calculator for this particular exam. So let's get started. So here we begin with an addition problem and a subtraction problem. And so let's consider this addition problem. Notice that we have three numbers that we have to add together, and we have 4 plus 2. We know that 4 plus 2 is definitely 6. Add the 0 as well. 6 plus 0 is still 6. So the answer here is 6. So we begin with the ones column. Let's go on to the tens column. 6 plus 7. What is 6 plus 7? 6 plus 7 is, well, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 6 plus 7 is 13. Now we have 13 plus 9. What is 13 plus 9? 13 plus 9. All right, 13 plus 9, what is that? But we know 9 plus 3, 9, 10, 11, 12 is 12. So we put the 2 down and we put the 1 above. So we have 1 plus 1, that's 2. So that's supposed to be 22. So 6 plus 7 is 13, and 13 plus 9 is 22. So we put the 2 down in the tens column, and we put the 2 above. So that's 22. Now we ask ourselves, what is 2 plus 2? Well, 2 plus 2 is 4, and 4 plus 5 is 9, and 9 plus 1 is 10. So the answer for this one is 1,026. 1,026. So that's the answer for this one. That is the answer for your addition problem, 1,026. So we do it column by column. We do the ones column, and then we do the tens column, and then the hundreds column. Now let's look at this question. We have 9 minus 5. 9 minus 5 is what? 9 minus 5 is definitely 4. Okay. Next, we have 6 minus 3. Well, 6 minus 3 is definitely 3. Okay. Now to the 100 column, 8 minus 9. Now here's the problem. We cannot take away 9 from 8, so we have to borrow. So this is good. We go to the 7, and we say 7 minus 1. 7 minus 1 is definitely what? 6. All right. And we put the 1 on top. So this is gonna be 18 minus 9. What is 18 minus 9? 18 minus 9 is definitely 9. So we put 9 here. And we say, what is 6 minus 4? Well, 6 minus 4 is definitely 2. So 6 minus 4 is definitely 2. So the answer for this one is 2,934. So when we find a difference between 7,869 and 4,935, we get 2,934. And so that's the answer. So for these ones, the first one, they asked us to add, and the second one, they asked us to subtract. And so we carefully added and we carefully subtracted for these two. All right. So let's move on to the next question. This is 1A and 1B. Let's move on to the next question. So here we have multiplication question. So we have 8,131, and we want to multiply that by 6. Now for this question, you have to know your 6 times table, all right? Or I should say it would do well for you to know your 6 times table, all right? In order to get this question right. So let's begin. So we know that 6 times 1 is definitely what? 6, all right? And then 6 times 3, what is 6 times 3? Well, that's 18, okay? And so we move the So this 8, we put it here, all right? And this 1, we place it above. Now, what is 6 times 1? 6 times 1 is definitely 6. And you add the 1, so 6 plus 7. Sorry, 6 times 1 is 6, and then you add the 1. That's going to be 7. So it's going to be 7 right there. And you ask yourself, what is 6 times 8? 6 times 8 is definitely 48. So there's going to be 48 right there. Let me write that properly. So we have 48. Okay. So we write the 8 here. And we write the 4 here. So the answer, or the product of 8,131 and 6 is 48,786. 48,786. All right, so let's consider this division problem. So we have 56. So we have 5,605. Again, 5,605 divided by 5. All right. And so let's find the quotient. The answer to a division problem is called a quotient. So let's find the quotient. We ask ourselves, how much times 5 goes into 5? Well, 5 goes into 5 one time. So it's going to be 1. All right. 5 goes into 5 one time. Notice that I write the 1 on top of this 5. So 5 times 1. What is 5 times 1? 5 times 1 is 5. All right. And so we subtract. Don't forget to put the subtraction symbol. It's very important. All right. So we subtract. Make sure I put your subtraction symbol. Make sure your working is clear and so that the examiner can know exactly what you're writing. And so 5 minus 5 is definitely what? 5 minus 5 is 0. We bring down the 6, right? How much times 5 goes into 6? 5 goes into 6 one time. All right. And 5 times 1 is definitely 5. So it's going to be 5 again. And so we do 6 minus 5. What is 6 minus 5? 6 minus 5 is 1. And next thing that we must do, we must bring down the 0. How much times 5 goes into 10? Well, 5 goes into 10 twice because 5 times 2 is definitely 10. So we say 10 minus 10. What is 10 minus 10? 0 minus 0 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. The next thing that we do is we bring down the 5. Bring down the 5. And so we ask ourselves, how much time 5 goes into 5? But 5 goes into 5 one time. So let me extend this line. So 5 goes into 5 one time. So it's going to be 1 here. It's going to be 1. So this has to be 1. All right, so the answer, or the quotient, is 1,121. So if we want to figure the quotient of 5,605 and 5, the answer is 1,121. Okay, so let's move on. But before I moving on, I want to check these answers. So let's do it. 264 plus 572 plus 190. That's 572, right? Plus 190. That's 1,200. So that's 1,026. Yeah, that's correct. And we have 7,869 minus 4,935. 2,934. Yeah, that's correct. Perfect. So both of these answers are correct. So this is right. So you got 1 mark for doing this. And we got 1 mark for doing this. All right, and also this is correct as well. Similarly, this is also correct. So for your BJC exam, please know how to multiply, how to divide, how to add, and how to subtract. Let's move right along. Here they say reflect. Let's use the laser. Here the question says reflect the letter F in the broken line. So here's the broken line right there, and we want to reflect the letter F in the broken line. And so the way that we're going to use this is that we're going to do it point by point. So let's consider this point here. Let's say that this is the first point. Let's say that this is the second point. Let's say that this is the third point, the fourth point, and the fifth point. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to reflect each point in the broken line. So we know that this point is how much spaces. We know that this point. Let's consider this point as it relates to the broken line. So let's look at it. It's gonna be what? 1, 2. So it's 2 spaces away. So we have to go 2 spaces. It's gonna be 1, 2. So that's where this point is. This point is right out. Okay. So let's do the other line, the other point. Let's go. It's gonna be 1, 2, and 3. So that means that we gotta go 3 spaces again. So 1, 2, and 3. So that's where this one is. Okay. All right. So the first point is here. The other point is there. Let's do this point. So this is gonna be 1, 2. So we're gonna go over 2 spaces. This is gonna be 1, 2. So the point is right here. Similarly, we go over twice again. 1, 2. And so we're gonna go over twice. 1, 2. So there we have it. This point is right there. And finally, let me use a different color. Let's use, say, purple. So let's move over. We gotta move over what? 1, 2, 3. And let's move over three times. It's gonna be 1, 2, and 3. So that means that we move over 3 times. So this is how the F is gonna look. The F is gonna look like this. That's the F reflected. All right. So let's make it look proper. So insert. Let's get our shapes going. So this line goes here. Let's thicken it and change the color. So say something thick. There we go. I'm gonna make sure it's red color. So that's the first one. Okay, then we gotta go to the second one. Like that. There we go. All right, now let's do the line here, up there, all the way down. I think we can move these now. We don't need these anymore. And so let's fix it properly. This goes here. We're trying to make it the F look nice. And so what we have is a mirror image, right? So we have a mirror image of the first image that we had. So it's a reflection. All right, so let's look at it. So this new image on this side that we constructed is a mirror image of the first one. Okay. All right. All right, so good. So there we have it. So this is what they want us to do when they say reflect the image in the line. Again, let's look at our points. Remember that we have to reflect each point. So this goes 1, 2. So it's gonna go what? 1 and 2. All right. This goes 1, 2. So we're gonna go 1, 2. Very good. This goes 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. So that point is secure. This one goes what? 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna go what? 1, 2, and 3. All right. So we see that it's a reflection. Okay. It's a reflection in that broken line. So this is what we have here. So this is how we get our point for this one. Moving right along, let's go on to question number 4. It says express, what we want to do here? We want to express 0.85 as a what? As a fraction, but not just as a fraction, but we want to express it in lowest terms. And so if you notice that we have 0.85, there are two numbers behind a decimal point. So if we look at it, 0.85, it has two numbers behind the decimal point. So because it has two numbers behind the decimal point, we are going to use 2 zeros at the bottom for our denominator. So 2 zeros. Why? Because it has two numbers behind the decimal point. And so now the number that we're looking at is 100. So the rule is, if you have two numbers behind the decimal point, then that means you use 100. 2 zeros, right? So then we put 85 here on top. Okay. So 0.85 is 85 over 100. So, but it's not in its lowest terms, right? What number goes into 85 and 100? Well, we can try 5. Let's try 5. If we divide 85 by 5, what do we get? And if we divide 100 by 5, what do we get? Okay, so let's try 85 divided by 5. Let's see if that works. So how much times 5 goes into 85? Let's see. We know that 5 goes into 8 how much times? 5 goes into 8 once. 5 times 1 is 5. 85, 8 minus 5 is definitely 3. And so when we bring this down, it's going to be 5. How much times 5 goes into 35? 5 goes into 35 7 times. And so 5 times 7 is going to be what? 35. So we have 35 minus 35. So it's going to be 0 and 0. And so we have 17. So 85 divided by 5 is definitely 17. Okay. And how much times 5 goes into 100? Let's do the division. 5 into 100. So 5 into 100, how much times does that work? So 5 into 10. 5 goes into 10 twice because 5 times 2 is 10. So we subtract. 10 minus 10 is, well, 0 minus 0 is 0. And 1 minus 1 is 0. So we bring down the 0. How much times 5 goes into 0? 5 goes into 0 0 times. So 5 times 0 is definitely 0. So we know that 100 divided by 5 is definitely 20. And so we have 17 over 20. And this is definitely in simplest form because there is no number that can go into both 17 and 20 without leaving a remainder besides 1. So 17 and 20. 17, so we have 17 over 20. That is the correct answer. That is 0.85 in lowest terms. Okay. Moving right along, let's go on to number 5. On to number 5. So number 5, it is a geometry question. And so this one is nice because here they're telling you to use your protractor. Okay, use your protractor to draw, and that's the keyword draw, not construct. So draw, you could use a protractor to draw an angle of what? 65 degrees at the point what? Marked J. So we have this line segment JX, and we have to draw a line segment. So we have to draw an angle that measures 65 degrees at point J. So let's do that. So If we look carefully, let's construct the line segment back again. So remember the line segment is JX. That's what they gave us. So we have the line segment JX. All right. So it has 2 points. So let's do that. All right. So now we good. So we're gonna call this point J. And we're gonna call the other point X. All right. So JX. Now we're gonna get our protractor. That's what they told us to use. This is what we call a protractor. Right. So this instrument has a protractor. So you're gonna take your protractor. What you're gonna do, the center of this protractor, where the cross, this and where it's in the, where we have this intersection now, the center of the protractor you're gonna place at the vertex of your point J. So take it and put it at the vertex of the point J, just like that. Smack down in the middle. And so we have to measure, what, 65 degrees. Notice this is what, 0, this is 10, this is 20, this is 30, this is 40, this is 50, this is 60, but we want what? 65. This is 65, and we know it's 65 because if you look carefully, this is 60. Don't worry about the number on top. We're looking at the one on the bottom. This is 60, so this right here is 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65. So we want to make sure that our angle is 65. So let's make sure it's 65. All right, so it should be right there. A little more over. Okay, good. So that's 65 right there. And so let us go ahead and use a ruler. So the ideal thing is you want to use a ruler and you want to draw that line right there. You want to make sure it goes through that point. All right, this one requires stops. You want to make sure that it perfectly goes. All right. Make sure there's no error in what you're doing. All right, so we have to draw it properly. All right, so just about right. So let's draw the angle. And so there we go. All right, so let's measure it and see if it's 65 degrees. So move this line. So let's take our protractor. If we look carefully, this is 60, this is 61, 62, 63, 64, and 65. This is nice. I like this one. So let us label it. So we're gonna label it. We're gonna label it what? 65 degrees. All right, 65 degrees. And so we did what they asked us. We use our protractor, the same protractor, and we draw an angle measure 65 degrees at J. Okay, so let's put that on the answer PowerPoint right there. Use a protractor to draw an angle of 65 at the point marked J. Not at X, but marked J. And so if you did that, then you are able to get your 2 points right out. All right. Okay, so let's move on to question number 6. All right, so let's read it properly. It says Bob has 4 numbered cards below. One card, let me get my laser pointer. So Bob has 4 numbered cards below. One card is chosen at random. What is the probability that the card has a square number written on it? What is the probability that the card has a square number written on it? And so you have to know what is a square number. So square numbers are basically A square number is basically a number that is a product of that is a product of a number multiplied by itself. So square number. So there are different square numbers that we have. Okay. So I'm going to list a few for you. I should say I'm going to list some of them. And so some square numbers we have is 1 times 1 equals 1. So 1 is a square number because 1 times 1 is 1. Next up, 2 times 2. What is 2 times 2? 2 times 2 is what? 4. So 4 is a square number. Why? Because 2 times 2 is 4. Then we have 3 times 3. What is 3 times 3? 3 times 3 is going to be 9. And so 9 is a square number. Why? Because, well, 3 times 3 is 9. And we could go on. 4 times 4. Okay? 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is what? 16. Okay? So 16 is a square number. Why? Because 4 times 4 is 16. And we can continue this. We can go 5 times 5, 25, and so on. So these are some square numbers, 1, 4, 9, and 16. So they say, what's the probability that the card has a square number on it? So remember, for probability, we can write it as a fraction. The denominator is going to be the total number of cards. How much cards do we have? We only have 4 cards, so that's the denominator. And the numerator is going to be how much square numbers do we have? Is 3 a square number? No, definitely not. All right, because our square numbers are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, and so on. Is 7 a square number? No, right? 7 is prime though, but 7 is not a square number. 9, is 9 a square number? Yes, 9 is a square number. In fact, 9 is the only square number that we have. 5 is not a square number, but 5 is prime though. So it's gonna be 1 over 4, 1/4, okay? So that's the correct answer because we only have one square number and it's 4 cards, so 1 over 4, all right? Let's move on to question number 7. Hopefully you understand how we got that. All right, so let's move on to number 7. It says the cat phone company charges what? 40 cents for each outgoing local phone call. So the cat phone company charges 40 cents for each outgoing local phone call. What is the maximum number of phone calls I can make with a $20 phone card? Okay, so 40 cents for each call, each outgoing phone call, but I have $20. So how much of these can I get? Well, you have to divide, okay? So if you want to figure out the maximum number of calls, you have to divide what? 20, divide 20 by what? 40 cents. So 20 divided by 40 cents, that's what? 0.40. That's 40 cents. 0.40. Okay. Now here we have 20 divided by 0.40. Now, since we have a whole number divided by a decimal, notice that we are going to be divided by a decimal. So we don't want to be divided by a decimal because it's difficult. So we're gonna do is we're gonna try to convert this whole number, sorry, this decimal, 0.4. We're gonna try to convert it into let's convert it into a whole number. So how can we convert, how can we convert 0.4 into a whole number? Well, let's try to make this 4, all right? So 0.40, how can we make this 4, okay? So I have 0.40 as 40 cents, okay? And so the question is, how can we make this 4? Well, if we move the decimal place 1 time over, all right, that would be 4, okay? So again, if we move the decimal place over, so we have 0.4. If we move the decimal place over, as you can see, this then becomes 4 with the decimal place behind there. So that's 4.0, which is still 4, okay? So let's move that. So we're moving the decimal place one place over to the right. But whatever we do to this side, we have to do to this side. We can't just do it to once. So we have to move this over as well. Okay. So basically 20 divided by 0.4 is the same as saying, because remember when we move this, so let's move the 20, let's move the decimal place over. If we move the decimal place over, right, that leaves you with open space. So this becomes 200. Okay. So now what we have is 20 divided by 0.4 is the same thing as 200. Okay. 200 divided by 4.0. Okay. So basically I changed the question so that it'll be easier to divide. So because I don't want to divide by a decimal, I want to divide by a whole number. So we have 200 divided by 4.0, which is the same thing. So what I did, I just moved the decimal place one place over to the right for both of them. Now 4.0, please do not be mistaken. 4.0 is the same thing as 4. So when I start the divide, I'm not going to use 4.0. I'm going to use 4 because that's the same thing as 4. 4.0 is the same thing as 4. Hopefully you can appreciate that. So let's do it. Let's divide 4. Let's divide 200 rather by 4. All right, so let's do that. So we ask ourselves, okay, how much times can 4 go into 20? The answer is 5. So 4 goes into 25 times because 4 times 5 is 20. So 4 times 5 is 20. What is 20 divided by, sorry, what is 20 minus 20? 20 minus 20 is 0, so it becomes 0. And this also becomes 0. We bring down the 0, all right? And so we ask ourselves, how much times can 4 go into 0? Well, 4 goes into 0 times. So 4 times 0 is definitely 0. So 0 minus 0 is 0. So the answer is going to be 50. All right, 50. What does that mean? That means that I can make 50 calls. The maximum number of calls that I can make is 50. So that's going to be equal to 50. Okay. If I have $20, all right, and each call costs 20 cents, then that means that the maximum number of calls that I could make is 50 calls with using that $20. Okay. So 50 calls. That's the maximum number of calls that I could make. 50 calls. All right. Move right along. So let's move over to question number 8. So question number 8, we're dealing with a fraction. So we have 1 over 4 multiplied by 2 over 25. Again, 1 over 4 multiplied by 2 over 25. All right, so let's multiply. So we have 1 over 4 multiplied by 2 over 25. So let's do this. So we're going to multiply the numerators by the numerators and the denominators by the denominators. So 1 times 2, what is 1 times 2? Well, 1 times 2 is definitely 2. And what is 4 times 25? Well, 4 times 25 is definitely 100. But for those people who do not know that yet, let's actually show it. So we have 4 times 25. 4 times 5 is what? 4 times 5 is 4 times 5 is 20. Put the 0 down, put the 2 up. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 100. Okay, so that's how we got that. All right, so 1 times 2 is 2, and 4 times 25 is 100. Now we could simplify, right? We could simplify this. So what number we could use to go into both 2 and 100? The answer is clear. It is 2. 2 can go into both 100 and 2. Okay? So the question is, what is 2 divided by 2? Right? What is 2 divided by 2? Well, 2 divided by 2 is definitely 1, right? And 100 divided by 2 is definitely 50, because half of 100 is 50. And we could always verify that, right? So we have 2 into 100. We can do the division. So how much time 2 goes into 10? 2 goes into 10 5 times. 2 times 5 is what? 2 times 5 is 10. And so we can subtract 10 minus 10 is what? That's 0. This is 0. We bring down the 0. How much times 2 goes into 0? 0 times. So 2 times 0 is definitely 0. So 0 minus 0 is 0. And so the answer to this question is 1 over 50. 1 over 50. That's the answer to this question, 1 over 50. So when we multiply 1 over 4 by 2 over 25, so we take 1 over 4, we multiply that by 2 over 25, the result is 1 over 50. Okay, so let's move on to question number 9. So this is multiplying fractions. Hopefully you understand that. Let's move on to question number 9, where we're using algebra, where we're using geometry. Geometry, where we're looking at a geometry question. Okay, so for this one, we're dealing with a triangle, and there's an important rule to know for triangles. Okay, so let's write this rule down. And the rule says, let me write the rule down. The rule says angles within a triangle always add up to 180 degrees. So the sum of the angles in a triangle always add up to 180 degrees. And so that means that if we look at this question, we have 65 already, right? We have 80 already, and then we have C. So C is the only one that's missing. But we already know that when we add up all these, they're supposed to give us 180. So we have to figure out what must this C be such that when I add 65, 80, and C, I get 180 degrees. So we can break this down into 2 steps. The first thing we're going to do is add, all right? That's the first step. And the second thing we're going to do is subtract. All right, so I like to break it down into 2 steps, adding, then subtracting. So what are the 2 numbers that we're going to add? Well, we're going to add the 65 and the 80. So add first and then subtract. So we have to add 65 and 80. 65 plus 80. What do we get? Well, 5 plus 0 is definitely 5. And what is 8 plus 6? 8 plus 6 is definitely 14. So this is 5. 8 plus 6 is 14. So when we add 65 and 80, we get 145. Now the next thing, what's the next thing? Next thing we're gonna do is subtract. So we're going to subtract what? 180 and what? 145. Let's subtract 180 and 145. So we have to find the difference between 180 and 145. Well, 0 minus 5, we cannot do that. We have to borrow. 8 minus 1 is 7. This becomes 1 on top. 10 minus 5 is, well, that's 5. And 7 minus 4 is 3. And we know 1 minus 1 is 0. So the answer is definitely 35 degrees. So we have 35 degrees. So if we add 35 degrees, so C is 35 degrees. So if we add 35 degrees along with 65, the 35 plus 65, that's 100. And 100 plus 80 is 180 degrees. So 35 plus 65 plus 80 is definitely 180 degrees. And so we're right, because angles in a triangle always add up to, they always add up to 180 degrees. Awesome. Next up, let's move on to question number 10. Question number 10. Okay, so for question number 10, let us consider these questions. So it says, use the percentages in the box below, use the percentages in the boxes below to make the statements true. That's what question number 10 says. Use the percentages in the boxes below to make the statements below true. So we have 75%, 60%, 50%, 5%, 175%, and 25%. Excuse me. So the question is, how in the world are we going to make sure that the percentages assigned to each one of these are actually equal to the value that we have? So we have a fraction. This is 3 over 5, right? 3 over 5. And for this one, you kind of could use, you could use common sense as well, just to give you an idea. Like without doing any calculations, we can kind of know which one is the right answer. Like, for example, 3 over 5. Well, 3 over 5, I can't be 5%. 5% is too low because you got 3 out of 5, right? It's not 50% because 50% would be like half of 5, and so that's definitely more than 50. 75 just seems too much. This is just 3 over 5. So the best one, and 25 is just too small. 175 is too big. The best one is 60. So this one is gonna be 60. 7 over 4, that's an improper fraction. The 7 is bigger than the 4. So this is much bigger than, a whole. So it's definitely gonna be 175%. And then 0.05, well, that's a small number. So we're looking for something that is small. And so 5% is going to be my guess for that. All right, so let's actually do the math behind it, right? So in order to change a fraction into a percentage, all we got to do is multiply by 100. So you have 3 over 5, right? Again, to change a fraction into a percentage, just multiply by 100. So you have 3 over 5 multiplied by 100, but it's going to be 100 over 1, okay? 100 over 1. So you ask yourself, what is 3 times 100? 3 times 100 is what? 300, right? Divided by, what is 5 times 1? 5 times 1 is definitely 5. So we have 300 divided by 5. So let's actually do the division. So 5 into 300. So 5 into 300. How much time does 5 go into 30? Well, 5 goes into 30 6 times because 5 times 6 is 30. So we have 30 minus 30. So 0 minus 0 is definitely 0. And 3 minus 3 is definitely 0. So it's going to be 0. We bring down the 0. We ask ourselves, how much times 5 goes into 0? 5 goes into 0, 0 times. So 5 times 0 is 0. We subtract. 0 minus 0 is going to be 0. So the answer here is going to be what? 60, right? So 60. So that means that 3 over 5 is indeed 60%. Just like how we looked at earlier. Now we have 7 over 4. Again, this is another fraction, but this time it's an improper fraction, but the same principle remains. Again, in order to change a fraction into a percentage, you have to multiply by 100. So we have 7 over 4. 7 over 4 multiplied by 100 over 1. 7 over 4 multiplied by 100 over 1. So what do? We multiply the 7 by the 100. It's going to be what? 700. All over. Multiply the 4 by the 1. What is 4 times 1? 4 times 1 is 4. Next, we divide 700 by 4. What is 700 divided by 4? Let's do it. 4 into 700. How many times 4 goes into 70? That's pretty big. Let's not do 7. How many times 4 goes into 7? Well, 4 goes into 7 one time. So it's going to be that. 4 times 1 is 4. So we do 7 minus 4. What is 7 minus 4? That's definitely 3. We bring down the 0. Ask yourself, how much times 4 goes into 30? 4 goes into 30. Let's do 7 times. Because 4 times 7 is what? 4 times 7 is definitely 28. So it's definitely important for you to know your multiplication tables so so that you can easily do your division. 30 minus 28. What is 30 minus 28? Well, we have to borrow. This becomes 2. And so we have the 1 on top. 10 minus 8 is what? That's going to be 2. And we know that 2 minus 2 is 0. We bring down the 0. So we ask ourselves, how much times 4 goes into 20? 4 goes into 20 exactly 5 times. And so that means we have 4 times 5, which is 20. We subtract them. 0 minus 0 is 0. And 2 minus 2 is 0. So the answer is what? 175. Again, this is 175%. And so that's how we get that 175%, just by multiplying that fraction by 100. Finally, we have this decimal, 0.05. How are we going to change the decimal into a percentage? In the same way that we did by changing the fraction to percentage, we're just going to multiply by 100. And the cool thing about when you're multiplying a decimal by 100 is that you don't have to do much math. You just have to move the decimal point twice. So when we have 0.05 multiplied by 100, the rule says that if you are multiplying by 100, all you need to do is move the decimal place to the right twice. So it's going to be 1 and 2. So you move the decimal place to the right twice. And if you move the decimal place to the right twice, then you'll be left with what? 5. All right. And someone may be wondering, what do you mean 5? Well, let's look carefully, right? So if we move the decimal place to the right twice, so 0.05, let's move the decimal place to the right twice. It's going to be 1 and 2, right? So that means that we have 0, 0, and 5. And a decimal place right there. But we don't worry about the zeros in front, all right? It's still just 5, okay? So the answer is just 5. So that means that our answer here is going to be 5%. Again, when we're multiplying by 100, you can simply just move over the decimal place 2 times to the right, and you'll still get your proper product. Move right along to question number 11. This question is a wages and salary question, it seems. It says Jess earned $22.50 from selling newspapers and $15.25 from babysitting. How much money did Jess earn altogether? Now it says altogether. Altogether is the key word in this question. All together, all together. That's the key word. Don't forget that. All together. And so we want to figure out how much Jess earned from selling newspapers and babysitting all together. We already know. So all together means that we're gonna add, right? So in order to figure out how much this individual earned all together is gonna be $20.50 plus, right? Plus $15.25. So how much money did Jess earn altogether? Let's add it, right? So we have $22.50 plus $15 and what? 25 cents. So let's add 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. Put the dot. Make sure I put the decimal place, line them up properly. 5 plus 2 is 7. And 2 plus 1 is, that's going to be 3. And so the answer is $37.75. That's how much Jess earned all together. $37.75. So again, what we have to do, we have to add, right? Add $22.50 plus $15.25. And so you will get $37.75. All right, hopefully that makes sense. All right, so let's write our answer on the line. $37.75. Voila. So let's move on. She spends $3.99 for a snack at lunch break. How much money does she have left? Keyword left. So we're gonna do here. We are definitely going to subtract, right? So we have to subtract how much she got altogether, which is $37 and $37.75. And we have to subtract that with $3.99. Here, you have to be very careful and you have to align your numbers properly in order for you to get the right answer. That's what they're testing. Can you align your numbers properly? Do you understand the notions of place value ordering, right? So let's subtract, right? So we have 37. 3 is in the tens place. 7 is in the ones place. This next 7 is in the tenths place. And this other 7 is in the hundredths place. So we're gonna take this 3. This 3 is in the ones place, right? So it goes below the 7. And this 9 is in the tenths place, goes below the 7. And this 9 goes below this 5. And so we're gonna subtract And so let's do that. 5 minus 9. 5 minus 9. Well, we have to definitely borrow, or we'd say regroup. So how much times? So when we cancel off the 7, we ask ourselves what is 7 minus 1? What is 7 minus 1? That's gonna be what? 6, right? And so it becomes 15. What is 15 minus 9? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's gonna be what? 5. So 15 minus 9 is 5. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. My apologies, it's 6. And then fell off for that wheel. So it's gonna be 6. So 15 minus 9 is 6, because 9 plus 6 is 15. Now we have 9 minus 6. That's not gonna work, right? We have to borrow again. This becomes 7 minus 6. 7 minus 1 is 6, all right? So this becomes 16. Now 16 minus 9 is definitely, it's definitely 7, because 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 are 7 for sure. All right, then now what is 6 minus 3? 6 minus 3 is definitely 3, and then we have 3 as well. And we put the decimal point down below. And so that means that the difference of $37.75 and $3.99 is $33.76. Again, $33.76. So for this one, you have to make sure that you are aligning your numbers correctly so that you could get the right answer. $33.76. So align it properly. Again, $33, write it on the line, $33.76. All right, let's move right along. Now we're moving on to question number 12. So here they ask us for the range, okay? The range, right? The range of all the heights. So we have different heights here. We have this person measures 140 centimeters. This one measures 189 centimeters. This one measures 93 centimeters, 170 centimeters, and 125 centimeters. Now, what is the range? All right. What is the range? The range, by definition, this is going to be the difference. So the range, okay, this is the difference between what? Between the highest number and the lowest number. It's the difference between the largest value and the smallest value. So that's the range. So we have to find the range of this data set. Now, what is the highest number? That's the question. What is the highest number in this data set? That's going to be what? The highest number is not 140. It's definitely 189. There's no other number that's bigger than 189. That is the highest. All right. Which one is the lowest? We have to look at this one. Who is the shortest? That's 93. It's the lowest. So this is the lowest. So now we have to subtract them. So the range, therefore, is going to be the difference of these two values. So we have range R, A, and G. So the range is going to be equal to 189 centimeters minus what? 93 centimeters. It's gonna be equal to what? Let's do the subtraction. 189 minus 93. Nine minus 3 is definitely what? 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 6. What is 8 minus 9? You can't do that. The borrow just becomes 0. And so we have 18 minus 9, which is what? 18 minus 9 is 9 itself. So the answer is 96. That's the range. So it's going to be 96 centimeters. That's the range, 96 centimeters. How do we get that? We subtract 189 along with 93, and we get 96. That's the range. The difference between the highest number and the lowest number. The difference between the highest value and the lowest value. That's your range. Okay, that's 12A. Do we have a 12B here? Let's see. Okay, yes, they want the median. So we have to find out what is the median, okay? We have to figure what is the median of this data set. So what is the median by definition? So the median by definition, let's write that down now. The median, so this is the middle number. Once the data set is arranged from least to greatest. So the median is the middle number once the data set is arranged from least to greatest. Let me write that down again using a different thing. So the median, it's going to be what? Median. So this is the middle number when the middle number of a data set when the numbers are arranged from least to greatest. So the first thing you have to do, you have to arrange the numbers from least to greatest. It's the middle number of the data set. Now, sometimes you can have two numbers that are in the middle. In that case, you are going to add those two numbers and divide it by 2. But in this case, we only gonna have one number in the middle, and that number is definitely going to be the median of our data set. So let's arrange our numbers in ascending order, right? So from the least to greatest. We already know that the lowest number is 93. So we already know that. We saw that from last time. We know the highest is 189. So after 93, which other one is the second lowest? So 93 is the first lowest, which is the second lowest. Then we have 125 goes after that. So 125. After that, we have what? Then we have 140. Then two more. Then we have 170. And then we have 89, 189. So 189, 189. So let's pair these numbers up and figure which numbers are exactly in the middle. So let's do that. So we know that the 83 goes with what? The 189. And the 125 goes with what? The 170. So the median of our data set is going to be what? 140 centimeters. It is the number that is in the middle. All right, so the median is 140 centimeters rather. Like I said, if you had two numbers in the middle, then you would add those two numbers and divide it by 2. But here we only have one number in the middle, so we just have to use that particular number. All right, moving right along. Let's go on to the next question. Question number 13. All right, so let's look at question number 13 and see what's happening here. So let's clear all drawings and let's go. So I don't know if you can see this clearly, but let me show you what it's actually saying. This is saying 6 to the third power. Yes, that's what it's saying. 6 to the third power. So I want to find a nice place to write it. We have 6 to the third power, or 6 to the power of 3. Now, what is 6 to the power of 3? Well, that's going to be what? 6 times what? Times 6 times what? Times 6 again, right? That's 6 to the third power. Now, let's multiply 6 and 6. What is 6 times 6? That's going to be definitely what? 36. So this equals to 36 times what? Times 6. Now, what is 36 times 6? Let's do it on this side, right? 36 times 6. Again, 36 times 6. We have 6 times 6 is what? 6 times 6 is 36, not 12. So again, 6 times 6 is 36. So it's going to be 6 times 6 is 36. We put the 6 down, we put the 3 up. What is 6 times 3, however? 6 times 3 is 18. Add the 3 to that. 18, 19, 20, 21. So it's going to be 21. 210. Sorry, 2 and 1. 21. Again, 6 times 3 is 18 plus 3, 18, 19, 20, 21. So it's going to be 216. So the answer is 216. So that means that 6 to the third power, or 6 raised to the power of 3, is going to be 216. 216. Again, 6 times 6 times 6, it's 216. 6 times 6 is 36, multiplied by 6, that's 216. 213. So that's 13A. Let's check out 13B. 13B, this is a decimal raised to the second power. So we have 0.9. Again, 0.9 raised to the power of 2. Again, 0.9 raised to the power of 2. This is going to be equal to 0.9 multiplied by 0.9. And so we have 0.9 multiplied by 0.9. So we have to multiply them out to be able to get our answer. So again, 0.9, 0.9 multiplied by 0.9. And so we have to multiply carefully so we wouldn't make any mistakes. So again, sorry, so let's look at this. Let's consider this. What is 9 multiplied by 9? Well, 9 times 9 is definitely 81. So that's 81. We put the 1 down and we put the 8 above. Sorry, my apologies. I did it the opposite way. So we put the 1 below and we put the 8 above. Okay, so put the 1 below and put the 8 above. Now, what is 9 times 0? 9 times 0 is 0. Plus 8 is going to be what? 80. sorry, 9 times 0 is 0, plus 8 is going to be simply 8. Now we put a 0 for a placeholder. Now we say 0 times 9 is simply what? 0. And 0 times 0 is simply 0. We add 1 plus 0 is 1. 8 plus 0 is 8. 0 plus 0 is 0. And so since we have two numbers behind the decimal point, we're going to move over twice. It's going to be 1, 2. That's where the decimal place is going to go. So the answer is 0.81. Again, 0.81. So if we multiply 0.9 by 0.9, you get 0.81. Again, 0.81. So we have 0.9 times 0.9. That's 0.81. All right, let's move along. Let's move on to question number 14. That was 13 we was on? Yes, that was 13. Now we're going to move to question number 14. Here we have an algebra question. An algebra question. So we have 6d minus 2h plus 5h minus d. We have this algebra question. And so the idea for questions like these that you definitely want to group like terms. All right. And when we say like terms, we basically means letters which are common, letters which are the same. So we have 6d, all right, minus 2h, all right, plus 5h, right, minus d. And so hopefully you already could identify the like terms. The d's goes with the d's and the h's go with the h's. So we're going to circle the d's. So this d, this 6d, goes with the negative d. Please also carry the signs as well. All right, so it's going to be 6d and d. So it's going to be 6d minus d. And even though there's no 1 in front of it, this means 1d. All right. So let's not forget the equal sign. Now we have um the h's. So it's gonna be the whole negative 2h, carry that over, and the whole plus 5h, all of that is going, bring it over here. So we have what? Negative 2h plus what? Plus 5h. Again, negative 2h plus 5h. And so let's add them. So let's perform the operations between them. So let's do it. So here we have to subtract 6d minus d. But bear in mind, this is 1d. Okay, it's 1d. Even though we don't see the d, even though we don't see the 1, it means 1d. So when we do not see the number in front of the coefficient, it is implied that the coefficient is 1. So what is 6 minus 5? Sorry, what is 6 minus 1? 6 minus 1 is definitely what? 5. So it's going to be what? 5d. Okay. So 6 minus 1 is 5. So it's going to be 5d. And we have a negative 2h plus 5. Negative 2 plus 5. So there's different ways to do it. You can think of it and as an have and owe principle. You owe $2, you have $5. So you want to pay back the $2 that you owe them. So you're still left with 3, right? Or you can look at it in terms of circles. So you know that you have 2 negatives. How much positives do you have? you have 5 positives. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, excuse me, and 5. And so let's cancel. The plus and the negative cancel out. The plus and negative cancel out. So we are left with what? 3 positives. It's going to be plus what? Plus 3h. And so yes, we have 5d plus 3h. That's how we get it. And we group the d's together, and then we group the h's together, and then we simplify accordingly. So 5d plus 3h. Again, 5d plus 3h. So 5d plus 3h. Awesome. Moving right along, that's 14a. Let's look at 14b. All right, so for 14b, we have 20p to the 4th power, and we have a fraction bar, which means divide. So we have 14p to the 4th power divided by 20. Sorry, my apologies. Wrong numbers I'm stating. We have 20p to the 4th power divided by 4p. So let's do that. So again, we have 20p to the 4th power divided by 4p. So 20p to the 4th power divided by what? Divided by 4p. This is going to be equal to 20. How much p's do we have? We have 4, right? So it's going to be p times p times p times p all over 4 times p. All right, so let's cancel out. We know that um, this top, this p, and this p cancels. We know that we can divide this 20. What can we divide 20 by? What number could go into 20 and 4? The answer is 4, so we could divide 20 by 4. And we could also divide, let's divide 4 by 4. So it's going to be equal to what? 20 divided by 4. 20 divided by 4 is what? 20 divided by 4 is, it's definitely going to be 5. And yeah, 20 divided by 4 is 5. And how much p's do we have? 1, 2, 3 p's, right? It's going to be p to the 3rd power all over, what is 4 divided by 4? 4 divided by 4 is 1. And so we have 5p to the 3rd power divided by 1, which is the same thing as 5p to the 3rd power, because any term over 1 is itself. So any number divided by itself, any number divided by 1 is itself. And so definitely the answer is 5p to the 3rd power. Now there's an easy way to do this, because we know that we have 4p to the 4th and then p to the power of 1. So 4 minus 1, what I mean is this. Like, we know that the power of this one is 1, right? So the rule says that if you're dividing by the same base, if you have two terms that are the same base and you're dividing them, you can subtract the powers. So this can be 4 minus 1, which is still 3. Okay, that's how we could get it. Or we could list out our working just like this. So the answer is again 5p 5p to the power of 3. All right, moving right along. Let's move on to the next question. Let's go. So we have 15. So 15a, it says, given that z is 36, find the value of z plus 4 over 10. So again, please note that z is 36. That's what z is. Z is 36. And so let's substitute z in for 36, right? So wherever we see z, we're going to put 36. So it's going to be what? 36. So z is 36. So we substitute that. 36 plus what? Plus 4 divided by what? Divided by 10. 36 plus 4 divided by 10. All right. So let's see that. Again, 36 plus 4 divided by 10. Now, what is 36 plus 4? 36 plus 4 is definitely what? 40. Okay. And 10, we keep that. So 40 divided by 10. And what is 40 divided by 10? Well, that's simply what? 10 goes into 40 how much times? 4 times. So the answer is 4. So the value is 4. 7 plus 4 divided by 10. Its value, if z is 36, is 4. All right, let's look at number 15b. So this is a linear equation. So where we have 2m plus 8 equals to 56. Again, 2m plus 8 equals to 56. And so let's go. So we have 2m plus 8 equals to 56. Again, 2m plus 8 equals to 56. All right, good. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to send the 8 over the equal sign. So once we do that, we have what? 56 minus 8, minus 8. It was positive. When you send it over the equal sign, it becomes a negative, minus 8. Again, it was positive. Once you send over the equal sign, it becomes a negative. So 56 minus 8, this is still 2m. All right, what is 56 minus 8? That's going to be 56 minus 8 is 42. My bad. 56 minus 8 is 48. Because it's basically your 8 timetables. Then we have 2m. So we have 2m equals to 48. Again, 2m equals to 48. So here we're going to divide both sides by 2. And the reason why we divide both sides by 2 is because we're dividing by the coefficient of m. That's why we're using 2. We have 2m equals to 48. But it's going to be 48 divided by 2. So these two cancels, cancel. So m is going to be equal to what? 48 divided by 2. What is 48 divided by 2? What is half of 48? It's going to be 48 divided by 2. How much times 2 goes into 4? 2 goes into 4 twice. Because 2 times 2 is 4. And 4 minus 4 is what? 0. We bring down the 8. How much times 2 goes into 8? Again, how much times 2 goes into 8? That's going to be what? 4 times, right? So 2 times 4 is 8. Minus is going to be 8 minus 0, which is 0. So that means that 48 divided by 2 is 24. So m is equal to what? M is equal to 24. So M equals to 24. All right, so that's the answer for 15. I think that's 15. 15A and 15B. So let's move on. The question number is there 16? Okay, there is a 16. Okay, okay, good. So for number 16, they asked us to do what? They said below is a circle. All right, so below you have a circle with center A. So we have a circle and the center of the circle is A. All right. So they're saying, all right, draw in a radius. Okay, draw in a radius. Now the radius is going to be half of the diameter. Okay, so diameter is from end to end, right? Going straight to the center, end to end. That's the diameter. But the radius is only half of that. Okay, so half of the diameter is the radius. So let's put that there. So let's insert a radius from here to here. Right, so let me enlarge it. So that's the radius right there. This is going to be the radius. So that's the radius there. Now the radius, once it starts at point A and ends at any point of the circle, it doesn't matter, you know. All of them, if we do any side as the radius, I just chose the right-hand side, but that's the radius. Now, the next question says they want us to shade in a segment of the circle. So you want to shade. So let's shade. Now we could either shade this section, which we call the minor section, or the major section, which is the opposite side. But I'm going to shade then the minor section. So this is the minor segment rather. So this is the minor segment, and the other side is the major segment. So let's shade this part. Again, both of these are segments of the circle. One is the minor one, the other one is the major one. All right, so we shade in this. There we go. So this is the minor segment right here. And this is the major segment. We shaded the minor segment. All right, let's move on. The question says, fill in the blanks. CD is a blank of the circle. CD is a blank of the circle. Definitely CD is chord. Okay. CD is a chord of the circle, a chord. So that's C H O R D. So CD is the chord, is a chord of the circle. And you know a chord because they go from an end to end. This is also a chord. This is also a chord. All right. They start at one end of the circle and they end at any end. Yeah, that's a chord. All right, next up, BC and BD are blank of the circle. If we look at BC and BD, let's use a highlighter just and emphasize that significance. BC starts from here and goes here. All right, that's a circle. And then BD goes from here. Let's use a different color. BD goes from here to here. So what that means is that both of them are arcs of the circle. So we call these arcs of the circle. So BD and BC are known as arcs of the circle. ARCS. So BC and BD are arcs of the circle. All right, let's move on to question number 17. 17, I believe this is our final question. It says the graph below shows a survey of students of Aunt Sue's preschool to determine which pet they owned. Use this graph to answer the questions which follow. So we have 30 students or children rather. Yeah, students who own who owned 30 students who own dogs. We have 40 students who own birds, 10 students who own fishes, and 20 students who owned hamsters. All right, so let's go. So the question is, for A, how many students own a bird? How many students own a bird? This one is very easy. We know that there are 40 students that 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 own a bird. So 40 students. All right, next up. How many more? So it says how many more? So you know this involves some subtraction. How many more students own dogs than own fish? So how much students who own dogs? 30 of us. How much owned fish? It's gonna be just 10, right? So you have to do the subtraction. So you have to do 30 minus 10, which is gonna be equal to what? 20. So 30 minus 10 is going to be 20. So 20 more students own a dog than who owned a fish. 30 minus 10. All right, let's go. Moving on. Let's go to letter C. Write down the ratio of birds to hamsters in lowest terms. Write down the ratio of birds to hamsters in lowest terms. How much does birds get? Birds get what? 40. How much does hamsters get? Hamsters get 20. So the ratio of the ratio of birds to hamsters in lowest terms is, so we have to do birds first. It's going to be 40 to 20. So birds, hamsters, 40 to 20. All right. That's the ratio, 40 to 20. But we could divide by something. Let's divide both of them by 10. So what is 20 divided by 10 and what is 40 divided by 10? Well, 40 divided by 10 is definitely 4. And 20 divided by 10 is definitely what? 20 divided by 10 is, what is 20 divided by 10? 20 divided by 10 is definitely 2. So the first one is 4. The second one is 2. But this could go lower. Let's divide both of these by 2. We divide 4 by 2 and divide 2 by 2. What is 4 divided by 2? 4 divided by 2 is definitely what? 2. And what is 2 divided by 2? 2 divided by 2 is definitely 1. So the ratio of birds to hamsters is going to be 2 to 1. 2 to 1. So 2 to 1 is the answer for this one. 2 to 1. All right, moving right along. Let's go to C. How many students took part in the survey? So we have to add up all the numbers. So we have 30 plus 40 plus what? Plus 10 plus 20. Let's add up all the numbers. How many students took part in the survey? So we have 30, 40, 10, plus 20. So we know that 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 is simply 0. And then 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. So it seems like there were 100 students in this survey. Again, 30 plus 40, and 40 plus 10, and 10 plus 20. That's definitely right. 100 students, 100 students took part rather in the survey. So 100 students. All right, let's go. So that was the last part of the question. And so we are done. We are done with this paper one. Hopefully you found this video to be helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.